Hey guys, Mike with Jeeps on the Run, and not to beat a dead horse, but we are back talking about the B9a recall. There's been a ton of conflict, a ton of different information. Everyone's having a different experience from their dealership as far as how long this recall should take to fix, and is it being fixed correctly. So let's dive in real quick and let's talk about a few things. Chris Hall, he is the moderator, the owner of the 4xe fans page on Facebook. He made a video today. We talked about some things. He gave us a shout out. Appreciate that, Chris. Chris also runs a great 4xe group on Facebook and has a YouTube channel, which we'll tag in this video as well. Him and I are probably kind of parallel minds. We both dive deep into these things. We both want to get the right information to our followers, and it's really important. We're also both on the same mindset. Starting this off, we are not by any means saying that the dealership is wrong or they're ill-informed, or we're not causing negative view to the dealership. But I think it is fair to say that guys like him and I, and obviously the followers and plenty of other people here, we are very, very enthralled in the 4xe platform. You know, we have this whole platform under a microscope. The people at the dealerships have to understand, you know, a whole Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram lineup. And within those CDJR products, there's a subset of how many models of vehicles. We're focusing on not only one vehicle, but one section of that vehicle. So the other thing you have to remember is a lot of times when these publications leak to the public, it's the same time that the dealership techs get them. So everyone thinks that the techs have this major up advantage on us, and that's not always the case. So again, these videos are never to shine negativity on the dealership, but hopefully to inform all of us involved. And I truly think at some point these dealerships are learning just like we are. With having said that, let's talk about some of the things we're seeing out in the field. You know, if you read this recall notice, it says that it's a minimum of 2-3 hour sleep cycles and the battery needs to be charged. But you're also seeing people say that they are getting away with an hour, you know, and they come out and they're like, hey, your Jeep's all set, pass the test, you're good to go. And I have a funny feeling that may be true, but I also feel like those situations are going to be far and few between. And here's the thought process. So let's rewind about 2 years ago. The ZB7 recall. If you're new to a 4xe and this is your first time owning one, the ZB7 recall might not mean anything to you. For those who have been around this a little while, you remember that's the recall about 2 years ago in December, past December. It was where the vehicle can lose propulsion. We all rushed in. We got our ZB7 updates, and many of us, myself included, we came home with a laundry list of problems. It was check engine lights, and it was charging system issues, and it was all these things. Well, it turns out the ZB7 software update put all this logic into the vehicle that it didn't have before. So all these problems that existed on your Wrangler and you didn't even know were there are now triggered by let's call it the more sensitive software. So it was kind of a good thing, right? It was a good thing in the fact that we had issues in the field and techs couldn't figure them out because it wasn't giving any errors. It wasn't reading any diagnostic issues. It was all fine and dandy. But turns out after the software update, oh, here's the problem. Oh, we had battery coolers go bad. There was a laundry list of issues, but the recall for that ZB7 brought those issues in front of us and brought them to a head. So kind of a good thing, and I think moving forward, that software was a little more stable, it had more logic in it to show the techs the issues that were actually happening. Fast forward to now, currently, and here's the thought process that we have going on is, step one is your battery still needs to be charged, and from my understanding, that is still the case. So I still think that if your battery's not at 90%, they can't do the test. Having said that, I'm not 100% sure that's true, but let's just say that is true. It's still going to be a minimum of 2 hours if you go with a dead battery. If it's not true, here's the next step. They check for software updates. Let's say your vehicle plugs in and all the software in your vehicle is up to date. that means it has the proper software in it to tell the Jeep that your high voltage battery is functioning properly or not. Chris, you stated it in one of your videos, and I know Tesla has it, and a lot of these electric or hybrid or whatever battery-powered vehicles have, they have the software internally to determine the quality, the integrity, the functionality of that high-voltage battery. Like Chris said, he's got a J-scan tool, and he can determine the percentage of the battery life, and Tesla, for that matter, they can do it over the air. But the functionality of that battery integrity does exist in the software. We know it does because we can pull it up from those J-scan tools or aftermarket tools. We know that feature is there. If your software is all the way up to date, the thought process is that your Jeep has already been testing the battery. And if there was an issue, you would have a check engine light, or you would have some kind of code that they would pull up. Maybe it's not a CEL, but maybe when they plug in, it's a code that comes up on the backside. So at that point, if it checks that and your software is 100% up to date, Mr. Smith, congratulations, your Jeep is ready to go. That's the only thought process I'm thinking is why some of you guys are getting out in the 45 minutes. Now, let's say your software is not up to date. Here's what happens. They have to update the software, which can take time. And then you have to go through a 3-hour sleep cycle for the software to update. Once the software updates, then you have to go through another additional 3-hour sleep cycle for the new software to do the battery test. So you're saying, well, why didn't the other, if I'm up to date, why don't they have to do that battery test? So in theory, if you're up to date, that software's already been doing the battery test. In fact, if you look at this publication right here, it kind of shows you that if it meets these requirements and this temperature range and this, it's doing this battery integrity test. If your software is not up to date, they not only need to update the software, they need to do the sleep cycle for the software to update. And then once now you're updated, now they have to push the sleep cycle for the new software to do the battery test that if you already had the software, it would have been done. Does that make sense? So I have a video here. We made a field trip to Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and talked to one of the hybrid technicians. I also talked to Colin Morgan. You'll see his reference on many of my other videos. You'll see the reference from him on our ZB7 video. And he's been with Stellantis, well, long before it was Stellantis. He's been with the company for 30-something years. He's out on leave at the moment, but I did talk to him on the phone this morning. He's a great resource, so thank you, Colin. He kind of had the same mindset that perhaps this is why that some dealerships are pushing them out in the 45 minutes to an hour, is because if they already have all the software updates, the vehicle is kind of doing that battery test already. My gut tells me that there's not a lot of Jeeps out there that have all of the software update. Now I will say every time I bring my 4xe to Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, even if it's an oil change, they're continually checking the software for updates. So if you have a dealership like Ray and they're always looking out for you, you might have those software updates even just from a normal oil change, and you don't even know it. Unless you've had it in for other recalls or whatever, you likely don't have the software update. So that's kind of why I'm thinking a majority of us out there probably don't have the latest and greatest software, and that's why most of us, it should take that 3 to 6, really to 8 hours. We talked about it in the past video. I would just expect or plan for a minimum of 8 hours. 2 hours to charge it and 2 sleep cycles. That's 6 hours, and that's assuming they pull it right in as soon as you drop it off. So the reality is that's not going to happen, right? They got paperwork to do. It's got to come in. It's got to come out. Maybe they'll wash it for you. I would plan on it being a 2-day or day and a half at best, likely 2-day, depending if you drop it off in the afternoon, it could go into to 3 days. I would plan on that. If you get it back in less than a couple hours, my question to the dealership would be, was my software up to date? Did you have to update anything, or was it already up to date? If they tell you they had to update all your software and you got your vehicle back in under 8 hours, now I would question the dealership. And again, I'm not a tech. We're just going by what we're reading, and we're looking for your information. What was your experience? What does your repair order say, and you were out in 2 hours? Does it say they updated it? One customer posted on the forum that said they put it through 2 6-hour sleep cycles. I mean, Win-win for that customer that they put their suspenders and a belt on, right? So I've seen that, and I've seen people say, well, we got out in 45 minutes. So I would question it if you got out in that 45 minutes, was all of your software up to date? So comment below, was your software up to date? What was your experience? Hopefully this sheds a little light. I'm gonna tack this video on the end from one of the techs at Ray, and he'll kind of explain as well what I'm saying. But the thought process, to reiterate, is if your software is up to date, the vehicle's been doing that battery test, so when Jeep plugs in, they know. If it's not up to date, now they gotta not only update your software, which takes a sleep cycle, and they have to do the battery test, which takes a sleep cycle. Again, this isn't set in stone, but this is the only thing that we can come up with that makes sense as to why some people are getting their vehicle back in under that 6 hours. We're all learning here, so join us on our 4xe forum, 4xe enthusiasts, as well as the 4xe fan page that Chris runs on Facebook. And again, let's hear your comments below, and what is your experience with your 4xe B9a recall. As always, thanks again, and like and subscribe, and our goal is to always bring you quality and accurate content, so that's why we keep coming back with things as we learn. We'll see you guys in the next video.
Hey everybody, it's TJ here with Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. I'm here to talk to you about the confusion about our new recall that came out on our 4xe Wranglers and how we're gonna go about the process of getting you guys in and out, because there's been a lot of confusion on our forums about the time it takes. So with our recall, we are gonna have to, unfortunately, check the battery of your vehicle, and that could take some time or it could not, depending on the software level of your vehicle. If your software level is up to date, we can just do a check for you if your battery is above 90%. If the battery is below 90% and or the software level is not up to date, we are going to have to take a little longer to charge your vehicle and let your vehicle take a sleep cycle so that the battery can check itself, because when we update your vehicle, we are adding that process in so the battery can be checked, and the vehicle needs to be able to sleep to be able to do that test for us. It should take around 30 to 40 minutes if your battery is charged to 90% and your modules are up to date, but if not, it could take anywhere from 3 to 6 hours depending on our charge time and the sleep cycles that happen while we are waiting for that to check itself.